Russian President Vladimir Putin has arrived in Tianjin, China for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO Security Summit, meeting with leaders like Xi Jinping, Narendra Modi and Erdogan. The summit signals a geopolitical push that counters Western influence. It's a huge breakthrough. The whole world is watching and keeping eyes on China, the host Xi Jinping and his allies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SCTV's International Affairs. My name is Rashid Kanchan. I will be your host, and I have a very distinguished, respectable personality, Habibullah N. Korim, Senior Vice President, Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce and Industries. He is very vocal and very outspoken on particular issues. He loves to read, writes and speaks. And of course, we have our White House correspondent, Norman Vlad Barnes, who is joining from Washington, D.C. Norman, let me begin with you. What are the top newses popping up in the international medias, especially in Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and other television channels in United States of America? Because we know they are all keen to watch China's position right this moment. Mr. Norman.
Good morning to the world. Today, the 1st of September, the day is a holiday, what we call Labor Day here in the United States, but the world is really busy today. First, I want to just acknowledge that we have to watch out and look forward to updates regarding the disaster that's occurred this morning, my time, in Afghanistan, the earthquakes. The reports are coming in. The information is very sketchy, but hundreds of casualties, several hundreds of people is already announced as being dead, and there's additional people being injured. The numbers are disastrous. Well, we have a situation that we have another global issue that the world need to take focus on. We have people dying and need our help. So let's see where that's going. The next thing is China is hosting the Shanghai Summit. It is bringing a lot of attention on to what's going on. The circumstances with the tariffs, the war in Afghanistan, in Ukraine has forged unlikely, we call foes. They're now talking. China, Russia,
yeah, I understand.
is talking.
Yeah, Mr. Norman, I have a very huge, high voltage breaking news right this moment in my hand, and fortunately it is shared by you. With me from Washington, President Trump is seriously considering stepping back from his diplomatic push to resolve the conflict in Ukraine. I mean, he's going to quit from this negotiation process. It's a huge breakthrough. I personally feel myself, because I was keenly monitoring and following this event since last couple of months. Mr. Norman, would you mind to give your impression on this breaking news?
Yes, the appearance from the Trump administration that they're looking to do a step back. Actually, President Macron from France is basically challenging the president about Putin. He believed that unless they get a response from Putin today, Monday, he felt that Putin is basically pull another fast one on Trump, basically challenging his credibility and not taking him serious. At the same time, the military aggression has increased, and there's actually communications that Russia is saying they want to continue, and matter of fact, to increase the military movement towards taking over the country. So right now, the situation is one that the United States administration is basically trying to decide which way they want to go regarding this situation with Russia and Ukraine, and it looks from all appearances, that the United States, is going to basically step back and let them to continue to work this situation out. As we know, this is advantage to Russia, not to Ukraine.
I
So
understand, sir.
we're waiting to see.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, it is a huge breakthrough. Let me come back to studio where Habibullah and Karim, Senior Vice President, Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, very respectable personality. Sir, my first question would be regarding SCO. Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO Summit. Does this new SCO economic push realistically challenge US dominance in global trade and finance? I mean, what fortune of dollars world witness?
Well, I think certainly it will bring a change in the global trade and finance ecosystem. But whether this will challenge US dominance, I think remains to be seen. I mean, the US dollar is so deeply entrenched in the global trading system. I don't think that dollar preference for trading is going to go away anytime soon. We have had talks about that over the last 20 years in various forums. But we have seen very few countries move away from US dollar denominated trading systems. But I think not only just for this SCO initiative of China, even without that, I think many countries have been considering bilateral settlement with various trading partners. If it is with China, then settling that in yuan. If it is with India, settling that in Indian rupee. If it is with Japan, then settling that in Japanese yen. So that, I think, once the trade volume increases with various countries, I think this bilateral settlement it will be more efficient, and it is going to be more cost effective in the long run. So that is going to happen. That is going to happen despite SCO, despite US's insistence on dollar-denominated trade settlements. I think that is the direction the whole world is going towards.
So I'll be asking one more question to you before I go to you. I have just received the latest information from Afghanistan's top news media that devastating earthquake in Afghanistan, as our White House correspondent Norman was telling. Few things has come to my desk. A powerful 6.0 magnitude earthquake has struck eastern Afghanistan near the Pakistan border, resulting the loss of over 600 lives, ladies and gentlemen. It is 600 lives casualties, injuring more than 1,500 people and completely destroying numerous villages. Emergency rescue and relief efforts are underway in the hardest hit. Mr. Norman, I have given the latest report I have received from Pakistan Ministry of Foreign Affairs and as well as Afghanistan top media. I want to come back to the Tianjin, China. What's happening there? World leaders are there. More than 20 world leaders are there, including the man, he's a man, his name is Xi Jinping. The man, most unpredictable personality in the world's politics, Mr. Vladimir Putin. Another superpower of Middle East, Mr. Erdogan. Another person from India, Narendra Modi. Something is going on there. My question would be, how significant is President Xi's announcement of a SCO Development Bank build out and multi-billion-dollar loans in reshaping global economic governance? I mean, are you also gazing that dominance of dollar is going to be challenged? Mr. Norman.
Yes. Yes, this is a very significant we call it consequence. The tariffs imposed, just within from the United States. And this summit, this Shanghai summit, has brought the world leaders together. Russia, India, China is now. Once we was in conflict, now they're looking at options of working together. They're talking about a workaround where they can work together and not be so dependent on the U.S. dollar and the U.S. trade and the commerce from the United States work within itself. Particularly, this is significance to South Asia. Particularly, this will give them a opportunity to have other options. Since China is involved, and since India, the two most populous countries in the world, this is a great advantage. This will be something along with the global South, and now they're talking about this summit turning to a NATO-like option for Ukraine and other things. So discussions are going on, and things are going to probably with China involved. You know, China been quiet for a long time, but China has been also developing and growing. So now with China involved, people are getting more confident and become less reliant on the U.S. dollar and this trade and this tariff situation. They're looking at other options to basically survive.
Excellent,
So the
Mr.
future
Norman.
is changing. The future is changing, and we're looking at a new geopolitical situation developing. It may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, but it's going to happen. So there's options, and the consequence of these tariffs and everything else is now creating a new option.
Excellent, very loud and clear for your acknowledgement. I really appreciate, Norman. I found you since many years a very neutral journalism you practice. You are the ambassador of United States. You are very high profile member of peace negotiating team in different aspects. I want to come back again to studio. I have a very distinguished person, Mr. Habibullah and Karim. I also like your statement always. My question would be, according to Norman, he acknowledged that new world order is going to be challenged United States in terms of economy, in terms of power practice. My question is relevant with that. With both Xi and Putin attending, how is the SCO carving out a multipolar and inclusive global order as an alternative to the US-led system, which we started to enjoy, or we started to see from the First World War in 2021.
Well, I mean, this is actually, 20 years from today, this could be seen as an watershed event, as Mr. Norman pointed out, that it could be a direct challenge to the NATO alliance. So we could have another alliance, the SCO alliance. So it will not be, as you pointed out, multipolar, rather it would be a bipolar world. So we might be going towards again a bipolar global polity. So yes, that definitely is going to change the sort of the unipolar world we have been living in since 1991. So it's going to be absolutely a change in the global character of how we secure our geopolitical systems and how we also trade with global partners. So in both cases it's going to have an impact. And going back to this issue about this pledge, I think this is just the beginning. This 10 billion yuan is just the beginning. So you remember that China already challenged the Bretton Woods school system of World Bank and ADB and others when they initiated the AIB, Asian Infrastructure Bank. So that is already established as another multilateral development bank. So from this initiative, we could see the formation of another such challenge to the Bretton Woods system. So this is also quite significant from that point of view.
Norman, you are definitely listening, Mr. Karim. Mr. Karim has
Yes.
a very versatile view on the world affairs. He has a very keen views on the international affairs. Since I have been knowing this gentleman more than 25 years in my professional career, you are listening him. Do you have any argument or do you have any more point you want to add with him? And along with this, I have a very tough question for you, Mr. Norman. This time, what strategic messages does China send by pledging 2 billion yuan in aid and 10 billion yuan in loans to SCO member countries?
Yes, the message is very clear. China, along with its newly found partners, are now coming out saying that we are now the new leaders, the world leaders. They say we have options. You don't have to be bullied. The word this morning in the news press, they are in opposition to being bullied by the so-called tariffs, how things are being done and controlled by one source. They say, well, we have options. You don't have to take it. We have options. We have enough resources. We can come together and we can pool our resources. And China is taking the lead. They're taking the lead. They're going to have a parade this week, and they're going to talk about their military might. You're going to see how they're going to talk about how they are to grow and develop. And basically, India, you can come over here. We're going to take care of you. The BRICS is part of this. We're going to make sure that your trade and your information is taken care of, and we're going to take care of you. And we're going to infuse the Shanghai group with funding, gold-backed funding, so we can create a new option. Like I said before, the world is changing. There's new options going on. So we have to look at this situation. Particularly, I'm going to mention one thing: the tariffs. The courts just ruled that the Trump administration tariffs is found illegal. There's judges and their court rulings. That's going to be a situation where some of that money may have to come back. We're looking at so far we brought in $142 billion in tariffs. If the court ruling goes through, 100 billion of the 142 have to be given back, which may cause real problems economically, financially for the United States economy, and people will not want to do business as present. They're looking at other options.
Mr. Norman, would you mind if I put one question which might embarrass you to answer properly, as you are living in the powerhouse of Washington, very nearby White House? I know, I visited you. Does Putin's high-profile presence at the summit mark a turning point in Russia-China geopolitical alignment, structure and friendship in presence of Erdogan and Prime Minister Modi's presence?
Could you repeat that last part? I missed it.
Does Putin's high-profile presence at the summit mark a turning point in Russia-China geopolitical alignment, new structure, new commitment and new friendship, along with India and Turkey's presence on the summit?
Yes, it's very obvious. It's very clear. Anyone looking at it, that they are looking at developing a new relationship, and Russia is now looking for the future. They already planning the future, and the future is not working with the Western part of the world. Is creating our own environment and create a competitive situation where people have options, governments has options, and they don't have to be bullied. That is the term. They feel they're being bullied.
All right, let me do a question to Mr. Karim, Habibullah and Karim, Senior Vice President of Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. How might India's improved ties with China, signaled by their cooperation in Tianjin, affect regional stability? Because you know the background, China and India has a border clash, China and India has a trade clash, China and India has man to man, people to people, some misunderstanding, and China and India has top leadership ego problem as well has been seen by the world people.
Well, of course, on the one hand, we have seen that China has made overtures to many Asian countries, including Bangladesh, for economic cooperation, defense cooperation. So now, with India on the scene, becoming close to China, whether that equation will change for us or other Asian countries, that remains to be seen. But I personally believe that China, as a already established global power, even if they go forward with this SCO initiative as an alternative to or a competitor to the NATO alliance, I don't think they will forego bilateral relationships with big countries like Bangladesh, or even, let's say, Myanmar, our next door neighbor, or many other countries in Asia.
Even Pakistan.
Or even Pakistan, for that matter. So these are very complex geopolitical equations, and they are very fluid all the time. So just because India is part of one of their platforms does not mean that the gate is shut for us to be part with China on other platforms.
Sir, one thing I just want to remind you, I was listening the statement from Indian External Affairs Secretary Dr. J. Jaishankar. He said, according to Trump's tariff policy or Trump's tariff tsunami, he used triple T, Trump's tariff tsunami. He said, many countries will be affected, but India will not be in that list, because India, last 20 years, they developed themselves to face such kind of threat, and this is a big success of Indian foreign policy makers. I want to come to Norman. You are in Washington, you understand the pulse of the American people and American politicians, because you cover White House, left wing, right wing, Oval Office, Congress and Senate. My question is, what is the impression of other politicians, Democrats, general American people, businessman, investor of this TTT, Trump's tariff tsunami?
Yes, the tariffs, like I say, the 50% is on the surface. There's additional conditions, there's backdoor agreements. One, we still have an agreement to provide, to attain pharmaceuticals and electronics. That is off the table from the tariffs. That's a totally different thing. That is something that we will continue to have the relationship with. So the business side and the non-administration side, business is moving forward. They're still going to do business, but the initial small goods and services is going to take a hit from both India and also over here in the United States. That is a concern with small business people, because a lot of people are going to go under and they're not going to be able to sustain their business in the situation. That is part of what we call collateral damage to this situation. But the overall, they're still going to do business with India and they're still going to have things going on. But the overall feeling is that we need to work out another solution. This tariff situation is not sustainable. It's not going to work. It's going to affect our economy, and particularly if the court rulings are upheld, we are going to be looking at some serious decision making have to be done.
Yesterday, I was watching live sessions from Congress. One congresswoman is showing one banana to the Treasury Secretary, and he is asking, American people love banana. American people imports millions of banana, but America doesn't produce any banana. She asked, that Excellency Congresswoman asked to the Treasury Minister, who is going to pay this 10% tariff on banana, where already Walmart increased 8%. The Treasury Secretary could not answer, and he says Americans will go to the farms and they will start to produce banana. We understand what's going on inside America. So this is the reflection of the American people. My next question to Mr. Norman, I will come about the Zelensky's one very suspicious and very strong, very powerful comment he has done, and he has says new deep strikes into Russia. He has done it successfully. Before that, I want to come to Habibullah and Karim. He is a business leader. He is a corporate leader, he is a chamber leader. My question is how Bangladesh can put itself into the beneficiary table with this tariff war going on India and USA, 50% tariff on India, Bangladesh is facing 25%.
Well, of course, no, 20%. In Bangladesh's case, it's 20%.
It is 20%, sir. Yes.
And in
Pakistan
India's
is
case,
19%.
it is 50%. Of course, I have seen in the press that a lot of people are, showing optimism that because of the high tariff on India, some of the exports from India could be diverted, or these products, orders from the US could be diverted to Bangladesh. While, there is a distinct possibility of that, but at the same time, I also feel that we should not rejoice at the misery of our neighbor. Just because, USA has imposed this huge tariff on India, we should not be celebrating that. I think that sends a very wrong signal, because after all, we are neighbors. And we also, would like to see tighter economic integration within the SAARC community. That includes India, Pakistan, and other countries in this region. So if we believe in that spirit, then we should not celebrate this. This is number one. Number two is, as Mr. Norman has pointed out, I also think this tariff thing could eventually work itself out in a way that we may go back to the previous regime. I think this might boil over, because although the US government has repeatedly claimed that imposing of these tariffs will not cause inflation in the US, will not cause price escalation in the US. But as we have pointed out, the retailers are already raising prices because they are not going to absorb that cost.
Yes, sir.
Or the exporters are not going to absorb that cost, because as it is, for example, from Bangladesh, our largest export to US is apparels, and the margins are razor thin. There is no way these exporters can absorb this 20% tariff. So this obviously would be transferred to the buyer, and the buyer will then transfer it to the distributors.
You mean, sir, American people are going to pay this tariff directly.
Absolutely. And there is no two-way about it. So once that happens, I think the policymakers in the US may come around and say, okay, we wanted to punish countries that had large trade deficits with us, but we want to come back to a situation where they might look at other options to address that issue.
Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. That's why I like business leaders. That's why I like business men, because they know how to do the best negotiation. Norman, I really appreciate your input today, Mr. Karim's input today. But before I go to a break, I just want to give you a hint that what type of question I am going to do when I'll come back. Mr. Teko, the orange man, who wears a 10-feet long tie, why he was invisible from the world cameras for 2 days? I will ask this question to you when I'll be back from the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Before going to the break, I was giving a hint to Mr. Norman. He's a very senior personality, very knowledgeable personality, that I will ask a question about Mr. Teko, the orange man, the person who you are say 10 feet long tie. Why he was invisible from world's cameras for 2 days? Mr. Norman.
Well, he was actually, is kind of unique. You mentioned that he took upon himself to go golfing. He has a golf course out here, actually not too far from my house, and he decided to go with his grandson and just take some time off and just go golfing. Plain and simple, he's still alive. He was on the news hot and heavy almost every day on every situation, and the world got used to that. And part of this, the plan is basically to let people wait. I'm going to take a couple minutes to exhale and breathe. So I'm going to spend some time with my family, and at the same time, create more suspicion, bring more questions of what's going on. So it's a strategy to basically to let people know that I'm doing stuff, but you don't know what's going on, but things are happening, and basically I'm chilling with my grandson.
Mr. Trump is tweeting right now. I know it is a 4 a.m. in the morning, and President of United States is tweeting. He is upset about the comment of French President Emmanuel Macron.
Yeah.
Mr. Gentleman, I want to do one more question to you. That is, Zelensky announces deep sea strikes in Russia. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky unveiled plans for fresh deep incursions into Russian territory amid continued conflict and drone attacks targeting energy infrastructure, the powerhouses. And Donald Trump is considering to quit himself from the peace negotiations. What is the indications? Fight will be more intensified in coming days, Mr. Norman?
Yes, the actual situation is that the Trump administration has not been pleased with the response from the Russian delegation. So in response, they're going to allow Ukraine to have some longer range equipment, weapons, to penetrate, and with some help, they basically are focusing on the infrastructure deep inside of Russia, hopefully to influence them to come back to the table and negotiate some terms of peace. How effective this is going to be, I don't know. You're going to hit a couple of power plants. You may cause some destruction, but Russia has mentioned and stated that they will continue with their quest to take over Ukraine. So they have a plan. Whatever Ukraine may do, Russia is ready to absorb it and respond to it. So I don't believe this is going to be very effective, but it's an attempt. It's a survival situation.
Mr. Norman,
we have to do something
Mr.
Ukraine.
Norman, answer me in 10 to 15 seconds because you have time limitations. Would you mind to say, are you also losing the hope that negotiation of ceasefire or complete combat war ending between Russia and Ukraine, we are losing this hope?
I have to concur with that. The chances, the future looks very bleak right now. Russia has a plan. They believe they had the advantage. They have strategic plans, particularly with the new partnership with China and India. They feel that they can move forward. And now with the situation with the tariffs and the sanctions,
all right,
and
I
they're looking at
understand.
the ability
I
of the
understand,
United
Norman.
States.
Norman, huge
Yes.
appreciation for your thought-provoking insights and very facts and figures you have put today. Today's show you have enriched. Thank you very, very much. I'm very proud of our geopolitical correspondent in Washington, Mr. Norman Flood Barnes. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Let me come back to the studio with Habibullah and Karim, another experienced, very good observer. I have read your many articles. I have listened to your many speeches in different business chambers, sir. You know, if I ask you a question, who won the First World War? I'm sure you don't have any answer. If I ask you another question, who won in the Second World War? I'm sure you don't have the answer. In war, nobody wins actually. People loses, humanity loses, territory loses, integrity loses, finance loses. My question to you, do you see any hope that Russia is going to stop this war?
Well, that's a very complicated question. If you look at the global powers, whether it is the US or Russia, and maybe in future we might see that happening to China as well, they have always been involved with wars. That's one way of expressing their territorial ambitions and territorial superiority over other smaller nations. And this is not going to go away anytime soon. So I would like to see Russia stopping their war effort in Ukraine, or for that matter, US and Europe's insistence on Ukraine continuing this war on their side. So I would love to see both sides coming to a negotiating table and having a negotiated settlement to their differences. And not only there, I would also like to see similar negotiated settlements in Gaza, in other theaters of war around the world. But the realist in me is telling me that that's not what we're going to see.
Right, sir. Sir, right this moment I have a breaking news in my hand, ladies and gentlemen, viewers inside the country and around the globe. Former Speaker of Ukraine's parliament was assassinated in Lviv, nearing city of Ukraine's capital, sparking domestic and international condemnation and prompting an ongoing investigation. Again, problem in Kiev. I want to ask different questions to Mr. Habibullah and Karim. Do you see any hope that Israel is going to occupy or quit the fight, confrontation, frontline battle with the unarmed innocent women and children in Palestine and Gaza?
Well, if I were Israel, or let's say the policymaker in Israel, setting the policy for war, setting the policy for geographical expansion into Gaza and Palestine, I do not see any pressure on me, meaning Israel, to move away from that strategy. So in other words, as long as the US keeps on blindly supporting Israel, as long as European leaders meekly tolerate Israel's aggression, Israel will never ever change their strategy on Palestine or Gaza or the whole. It's not just their territorial ambitions are not limited to only this part. This is only the current manifestation. They have a much wider plan, and we have even seen in the leaked documents by Assange that they had a much bigger plan for the Middle East, taking over like 11 countries in the Middle East, and even causing the strife in Libya and many other countries are part of that. So I do not see Israel moving away from that strategy. Israel is by default an extension of the American hegemonist policies or ambitions in the world. And as long as the US can use Israel as the attack dog and remain away from the war front, they will keep on doing that.
Let us be very honest on one thing. If it is called that Hezbollah, Houthi, Hamas, Iraqi militias and IS are the proxy of Iran, why we cannot call Israel is the proxy of United States in the Middle East? What is your comment on that, sir?
There are even more interesting versions of that. Many people would like to jokingly say that the US is the proxy of Israel. Well, I think this whole US proxy, or let's say Iran proxy thing, has a long historical context. No matter what we think or do, we cannot while away or do away with that historical context. So, and each side has their grievances, each side has their strategic beliefs and options. So only way we can see a de-escalation of these global tensions from these major theaters of war is if both sides actually see to it that in a war nobody wins.
Exactly, sir. Exactly, sir. I really appreciate very straightforward bird's eye comment on these issues. See, we all want humanity wins. We all want people are developing, they are enjoying and cherishing their life. Before I go to the break, I have a development. A draft post-war strategy for Gaza circulating within the US administration proposes that the US may oversee the enclave for up to a decade. This plan includes population relocation and digital token system for land. Some new terms we are learning this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be come back after a short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As I have got a veteran businessman, policymaker in the chambers level, I just want to do a question to him. You see the recent export trending, trade imbalance. You see the silence of world's most powerful financial organizations like World Bank, IMF, IFC, JICA, ADB, IDB. On the other side, we see the activities and very fast move by BRICS countries, and we see Donald Trump is losing control on Vladimir Putin. What you see in the economic perspective in coming days as a businessman?
Well, the fact remains that US is the largest economy in the world today, and China is fast catching up. So China is already the second largest economy, and will probably in 5 years or less become surpass the US as the largest economy in the world. So, and if you, not only that, even India is going to be the third biggest economy very soon, and even Bangladesh is projected to be one of the top 20 economies probably within the next 10 to 15 years. So this indicates a sea change in the global economic order. So no matter what the US thinks, or let's say that today's G20 economic powers think, they know, and they know it very well, that the economic influence that they have, they are sitting on shifting sands. So they are obviously going to, that influence is going to fritter away no matter what they do. Only way they could have perpetuated this influence, economic influence, if they could exert military power over the globe. I don't think that's going to happen again. We are not going to have a global war like the Second World War or the First World War. If there is a global war today, you have no way of knowing how that will play out with China and India, and even, for example, even other global powers that we see that they're keeping things under wraps. But when it comes to a war situation, they might flare up, or they might, expose their true military might. And, things would be very, very different. Just because in conventional arsenal and nuclear arsenal, even conventional nuclear arsenal, I would say, the old style arsenal, the US has a dominance or Russia has a dominance, does not mean that in a future war, they will actually dominate the war theaters. This is already proven in many ways by China, many ways by even to some extent by Israel in a smaller context. So, and people have learned from that. Taiwan is learning from that. South Korea is learning from that. I hope that we are learning from that. Bangladesh as a small country in a very hot neighborhood. So that, militarily, we cannot be knocked around. So just economic might is not good enough.
Right.
We also, in parallel, need to ensure our,
Safety,
sovereignty and the, geographical boundaries with military might.
One thing I want to put in your table, it is called in the international relation topics or subject that if you are looking for security, you might look at the West. If you want to go for the business prospect or economic prosperity, forget about the West, look at the East and specify with China, because China is the largest manufacturing hub. As a very senior businessman, you have traveled a lot. Do you agree this, that Bangladesh should follow in mid of this policy for security West and for business East?
Well, I mean, let me go back to the original philosophy of our, founders of this country. When we became independent, our position was that we will be friends with everybody. We will not be part of any alliance. And we will trade with everybody. We will keep our borders, protect our borders, will protect our sovereignty. I think we should, continue with that strategy, both politically and militarily. Now, coming to the philosophical aspects that you have pointed out, I think the Western dominance of the global theaters, that was not only necessarily because of their economic might or military might. In most cases, they were achieved through fraud and chicanery. I mean, even if you go back to the Israel-Egypt war, the final leg of the war was won by bribing the Egyptian generals, not through military strategy. So the way Europeans came into the Indian subcontinent, they were vastly outnumbered by the military powers in India. But we meekly surrendered because we fell into the trap set by them by pitching friends and foes on the Indian side. So they are very good at that. They are very good at dividing people and putting them at loggerheads.
Right, sir.
I think we need to be aware of our own situation. We need to choose who our friends are and who our enemies are.
I clearly understand. Hope our viewers also understand. Sometimes our foreign viewers of this show ask us and request us to give the latest development of the Bangladesh domestic news. Sir, government is planning or declared a timeline for the elections. Political parties are also demanding. But there are still gaps between the government, election commission and political parties' demand as well as the people's aspiration. Do you think election is going to be held in time as government declared?
I don't see much of a difference between the government, the election commission and the major political parties. If you go back several months ago, for example, Jamaat-e-Islami had always demanded elections to be held before the next Ramadan. BNP was the one that demanded elections by December. Now BNP has also conceded that it can happen before Ramadan. So I think there is convergence of their views.
Gaps are minimizing.
Yeah, and government has indicated, the head of the government, the chief advisor has indicated that he would like to see the election commission conduct the elections in February. The chief election commissioner has already publicly declared that he also wants to declare the election schedule in a way that it happens before next Ramadan. So I don't see any difference
so
there.
you are hopeful.
Yeah, so I don't see any major difference. Only difference is in the rhetoric.
Right.
Only difference. So rhetorical differences.
I'm
but
so
not
much grateful,
in
Habibullah
the
and
plan.
Karim. I have got you today, Senior Vice President, Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce and Industry. You have given so much of good input, very practical input in today's show. Before I want to leave, I just want to give a breaking news again, ladies and gentlemen. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping held bilateral talks in the sidelines of Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, reaffirming their countries are development partners, not rivals, not enemies. Direct flights and trade initiatives were also emphasized, but we have to remember they have the border clash. Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, I want to convey happy birthday to Dr. Phil McGraw, popular TV personality and psychologist, turned 75 today. I wish you good health, Dr. Phil. Thank you very much. I will see you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen.